There have been recent reports that John Galliano might just be leaving Margiela to go to another fashion house. So today we need to get into it and play the fashion musical chairs. Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's Tomas sharing all my thoughts on fashion, lifestyle, and anything else that comes to mind. I'm here every Wednesday, and also I have a fashion podcast with scattered uploads on Sundays, so make sure you guys check that out if you want. Today I have a really fun video idea for you guys. There have been so many recent designers leaving brands. My watch is like becoming loose. So many designers are leaving their houses, or there have been rumors swirling that these designers are leaving their houses. Even this week, there was actually an interesting rumor regarding J.W. Anderson that we're going to get into the later part of the video. So for today's video idea, I thought we'd play the fashion musical chairs game. You know, every 2 years, houses kind of either fire or, you know when like Real Housewives leave, when Real Housewives like get fired from their show, and they're allowed to be like, I have decided to focus on my family and my 10 cats, so I will not be appearing on the recent season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Babe, you got fired, okay? So I feel like a lot of these designers do get fired, but they kind of get to be like, I'm gonna focus on painting in the south of France. But today I'm gonna be talking to you guys about what designers should go to each house, what house and brand would go best with them. We are gonna start with John Galliano, so let's get into it because there's absolutely no time to waste. So in the past few weeks, there have been kind of reports, even on Business of Fashion, that John Galliano is indefinitely leaving Margiela. I mean, he had a 10-year contract and it is now up. And now people are wondering, where is he gonna go to next? So I really find these interesting with the John Galliano situation. As we know, he got let go from Dior. Way back then, he was really successful at Dior, actually. He was kind of the first designer to kind of create really viral Y2K pieces at Dior. You know, we have the whole like Dior monogram bathing suits, Dior monogram silk sets, the Dior saddlebag. I mean, he was one of the early pioneers of that bag. In the early 2000s, there was nowhere you could look that Dior wasn't involved or nobody was wearing Dior. So now that his contract has been coming up at Margiela, we have noticed in the past year, especially with Anna Wintour's involvement, that they have kind of rehabilitized John Galliano's image to the public, especially with his last couture collection that, got rave reviews, especially for the Pat McGrath kind of glass makeup on the models. It was probably one of the best received collections at Couture Week and just became a viral sensation on TikTok, on Instagram, and YouTube. You know, there were like makeup artists from LA on TikTok recreating the look. So it was definitely one of the biggest viral moments that Margiela has probably ever had. I know he's rolling in his grave, because picture someone on TikTok being like, recreating Margiela's hot couture collection on TikTok. Like, isn't that quite ironic that like Margiela kind of became this brand from just showing like in underground clubs in Paris, and now like the brand has just become so mainstream, especially with the tabby. I definitely think Anna Wintour has kind of been trying to rehabilitize Galliano's image to kind of front a more public house like Chanel or Dior. So these are the rumored houses that John Galliano could go to. Fendi, as you guys know how I feel about Fendi. I think Fendi is quite atrocious. I think, I have like a headache just think about the terrible collections Kim Jones has been doing at Fendi women's wear. It's really bad, you guys. It's not good, and I think John Galliano would actually, probably struggle at Fendi, just because I think Galliano has kind of this very creative, whimsical design that at Fendi he would be feeling a little restrained to kind of be forced to create product that is very just heading to retail. Let's sell it, let's keep the Fendi house clients happy. Let's not really try and reinvent the wheel here. So I don't think Fendi is a good choice for John Galliano. Some people have said Chanel. Now I actually think that Chanel recently got rid of Virginia Viard, and we'll get into Chanel later. Recently got rid of Virginia Viard solely because I think she probably wasn't as inventive enough. And I think when Karl Lagerfeld was at Chanel, there was a lot of this air of creativity and really like just so much creativity in the clothing that still really managed to sell well at stores, that Virginia Viard wasn't really connected with that kind of aesthetic of design. So I think John Galliano would actually do really well at Chanel, because he is able to, as we've seen in the OG Dior collections, he's really able to have the pulse on the culture of what a luxury client wants. You know, that's why Miu Miu does really well, I think, because there's this air of creativity, and can I come up with another word? Like, let me pull up the Thesaurus app on my phone. There's an air of creativity in the way that Miuccia designs that is still really wearable and still really wantable when it goes to stores. So I think that's why Miu Miu is really, really successful. I think John Galliano would be able to like kill it at Chanel. He would send down some really, really cool stuff down the runway that I think would really still keep in-house codes with Chanel, but still really kind of have the John Galliano. And then another rumor is that he is apparently just trying to rework his way into Dior. How iconic would that be, you guys? A designer that previously got fired from such an iconic house like Dior, 10 years later, helming it again and really becoming the face of the brand once again. I know Maria Grazia Chiuri is struggling at Dior lately. I know the feminism stroke has gotten really stale at Dior lately, and I have friends that work at Dior and they're just saying it's the same stuff repeated over and over, and I think the Dior clients are getting quite tired of it, especially after it's been like 10 years. You know, the same D-waist slides, the same book totes. There's nothing really new being shown at Dior, and I know hearing from my friends that work there and just people that I know that work at Dior, the clients themselves are also getting really tired of it. So I definitely think Maria Grazia Chiuri is out at Dior very, very soon. And you know, this could be very, very cool to kind of bring back the Galliano viewpoint onto Dior. I remember watching the YouTube videos of the couture shows. Remember the fur show where like the model were like the fur protesters from PETA, and the model like pushed her out of the way. Like, we need to bring back that kind of like iconic theatrical fashion back into fashion, and I think we haven't had that in a really long time. And I think John Galliano could really be one of those people that brings that back to Dior. I think Dior really wants to kind of stay away from the kind of like minimal, toned down, kind of like politics wife dressing aesthetic that they've been doing, and I feel like they would want to kind of bring back this theatricality to Dior. So I think John Galliano would be the perfect choice to revitalize the house of Dior. Let's get into Givenchy. So Givenchy has been, I think it's about, so Matthew Williams, who used to be at Givenchy, he definitely got fired, girl. Like, let's be honest, he got let go in January of 2023. I think it was January or March of 2023. So we are almost at just over a year of Givenchy having no in-house director. So these are the people that are rumored to be at Givenchy. We have Jacquemus. So this was an early rumor back in, I think, the start of this year, 2024, because they had just restarted the year for the house. So it would have been the perfect time to announce someone. I think Jacquemus has a lot of complaints about the quality issue of his clothing. A lot of people always call his collections like Zara core. And I do have to agree, even though I do quite like Jacquemus, I don't think he would be very good at Givenchy, just because I don't think he has the technicality. Apparently, he hasn't even gone to school for fashion. He literally just like started making stuff. With honestly, good for you. Like, if it's your own label, you can do whatever you want. And I think that's kind of cool of him to kind of just like have no previous knowledge in fashion, but still start a very successful brand like Jacquemus. I personally don't think that you need a lot of technical schooling when it comes to design. You just have to have like a good creative direction. And I think that's also why Eddie Saman is so successful in fashion, because he's not really a designer, he's an image maker, and to be successful in fashion, you do kind of have to be like a really good image maker. I don't think, however, Jacquemus would be really good for Givenchy. Givenchy is rooted in a lot of couture house codes, so I do think that we need someone who is very, very technical at that. And I do think Sarah Burton, who recently left McQueen, would be a great choice, but also I think it would be a great choice in terms of revitalizing fashion back into Givenchy. I'm not sure it would be great in sales. Givenchy is a very tricky house because they have two different client bases that are not intertwined at all. We have the women's wear, who is very focused on the couture aspect of the house. You know, like Givenchy is built off couture by Hubert Givenchy. He basically started a couture house and then it went into ready-to-wear. We also have the streetwear focused menswear client who couldn't care less about the shirt being made from silk as long as it has Givenchy written on it. So I think Sarah Burton would maybe have trouble trying to keep two of these clients intertwined. So I think maybe it's better if Sarah Burton takes over women's wear, and then we have a menswear designer. Maybe, as much as I do think he's like a little bit, did something just fall out of my hair? I do think he's like a little bit cringy, maybe Ruiji, who does Rude. I probably think that he could do really well at Givenchy because he's very streetwear focused and he has his eyes on the pulse of what the culture and what kind of like the luxury menswear client wants to buy. So I definitely think they should split Givenchy into two teams. One for women's wear, which I definitely see Sarah Burton doing, but also Claire White Keller, who was also really well received. She came from Chloe to Givenchy. I think she did Givenchy for less than 3 years. She also probably got the boot. Apparently her stuff didn't sell as well. So I do think Sarah Burton and Claire White Keller do kind of have very similar kind of aesthetics, but I don't know. I think maybe Sarah Burton could do really well at Givenchy, and then I would recommend to just have someone else at the menswear teams. This is all just speculation, guys. There's no way that anybody from these teams, actually maybe they are watching this. And if you do hire these people, I would like my finder's fee. That's 2.5% sent to my email bank account. So please do that. Let's move on to Chanel. So recently it was announced that Virginie Viard would be let go at Chanel after 5 years of the creative director position and over 30 years at the house of Chanel under Karl Lagerfeld. Now I was surprised personally to hear about this just because every time I talk to people that worked at Chanel, they said the ready-to-wear flies out. At this point, Chanel does not care about accessories. They don't care about shoes. They don't care about bags. They want to focus on the ready-to-wear. And under Virginie, it was I heard that it sold really, really well. You know, the Virginie client was very Miami, rich girl. I always talk about this like Miami rich girl who would just go buy the tank top from Chanel cardigan where it was like a Goldie jeans. You know, like that's kind of the clientele that Virginie had. And I think maybe the House of Chanel was just tired of not being at the forefront of what fashion is and what should be. And this is why I think they probably let her go. They want someone like John Galliano that can kind of fashion with a capital F. And this is what Chanel should be. And this is what Karl Lagerfeld used to do at Chanel. There's a reason Chanel shows like last at Paris Fashion Week, or second last next to Louis Vuitton, is because Chanel is the word of fashion. Louis Vuitton is the word of fashion. Miuccia Prada is the word of fashion. So these brands show last at the end of Fashion Week because they want to have the last word. They need to be when we think of fashion, we need to be going to Chanel. And I think the executives at Chanel were kind of tired of, maybe not the show reviews because I don't necessarily think they matter that much. I think these executives were just getting tired of the Chanel brand not being fashion with a capital F. So I think they definitely want someone to revitalize the brand. Some people were saying Sandy Liang. I'm like, can we be serious? Like, I love Sandy Liang, but we don't need boy bags with bows on them. Like, let's be honest, Sandy Liang is extremely underqualified to even walk into the house of Chanel at 31 Rue Cambon and they'd be like, Madame, do you have your ID? No, please leave. Like, Sandy Liang has no business being involved in Chanel. And I think high fashion Twitter, I always have a good laugh when I go on high fashion Twitter. You guys are so delusional. Sandy Liang was like, she would do so well at Chanel. I'm like, no, she wouldn't. Also, I think she needs to focus on her own label, if you get what I mean. Thom Browne, now, as much as I really don't like Thom Browne, I actually do think Thom Browne would probably do really well at Chanel because not only does he have an expertise with tweed, and tweed is a really big part of the house codes of Chanel, I also do think he knows how to create viral product that Chanel clients want. So, you know, he made those little jock straps from Thom Browne. It's a very tongue-in-cheek to gay culture, and I really like that. So I definitely think Thom Browne can probably create really great viral product at Chanel. Someone else said Zac Posen. Here's the thing with Zac Posen, great gowns, beautiful gowns, gorgeous. If I was going to the daytime Emmys, I would love a Zac Posen gown. Like, I don't think Zac Posen would even know what to do at Chanel, like where would he even begin? I think Chanel is a really hard position because not only do you have to create these worlds in each collection, you also have to sell the product. And clearly, Zac Posen wasn't selling the product. So I actually think Zac Posen is a terrible idea. I don't think he should even be tied to Chanel at all. Let me know what you guys think of the selections that I'm making. Who do you think should be at these house codes? Make sure you guys are leaving your thoughts and your comments down below. All right, Tom Ford. So Peter Hawkins recently left Tom Ford, which was a little bit of a surprise. He was only there for about a year and he got let go, assuming maybe something happened internally. You know what? Tom Ford is a really, really hard job. I don't think particularly anybody wants the job of Tom Ford. It's very specific. And I think because Tom Ford, the vision of this kind of sexy jet set woman, it's really, you can't really stray away from it because this is what the Tom Ford heritage is. So I don't think this job is essentially really wantable by people, to be honest. It's quite a hard job. You pretty much have to do the same thing over and over and over again. There's no way you could prodify or memify Tom Ford because the clients know what to expect from this 20-year-old house. So I actually think that's probably the appointment that designers probably we want the less. If anything, I could probably see Fausto Puisi doing Tom Ford. He kind of has that Milanese, sexy club vibe that he could probably take to Tom Ford that shows in Milan anyways. Also, Dundas, Peter Dundas, I also think could probably do Tom Ford pretty well. These kind of menswear designers, these guys that do the sexy jet setting woman that is the Tom Ford clientele, I think they could probably do Tom Ford really well, but I don't think anybody is jealous of the position at Tom Ford, to be honest. Leaving with, recently this week, Twitter has gone, high fashion Twitter has gone aflame because allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly a lot of times here, JW Anderson is leaving Loewe. So he actually he's about to hit his 10-year-old mark at Loewe, and usually these contracts are either 3 years, 7 years, or 10 years. I would be surprised if JW Anderson would leave Loewe because I think he recently, in the past 2 to 3 years, have kind of reinvigorated the brand and made it the #1 brand in the world. List just released their 20 top brands for the List index for the second quarter, I believe, and Loewe is #1. So he has the #1 brand in the world, and I would be really surprised for him to leave Loewe. And essentially, some people are saying that he's going to Gucci because Sabato de Sarno is not producing great collections at Gucci, which I do kind of have to agree. In my opinion, JW Anderson is one of those designers that values creativity over money. So unless the money from Gucci is really, really good, where you kind of have to be like, okay, like if you guys let me do whatever I want at Gucci and the paycheck is like $20 million, like how can I say no? But I do think JW Anderson values creativity and artistry over money, and I think that's why he enjoys what he does at Loewe so much, because Loewe is a brand that is rooted in artistry and this kind of hands-on approach to design. So I'd be really surprised if he left Loewe at any point, because I think he enjoys it. He's always posting. Recently he flew to Seoul, Korea for the Casa Loewe opening in Korea, and he was taking pictures with everyone. He was dancing at the bar. He was like clubbing with all the celebrities. So he seems to enjoy the Loewe family and the aspect of the brand. So I'd be really surprised, honestly, if he ever left. Maybe in 5 years down the time. I mean, Nicolas Gasquet is probably the one designer that has been at his brand for the longest time. He's kind of going into like 11 years at Louis Vuitton. I don't think he would ever leave. So I think Jonathan Anderson is one of those designers. I'd be really surprised to see him leaving Loewe. I don't know. What do you guys think? However, when it comes to Sabato de Sarno, I could definitely see it's just not working very well, even though I do like some of the collections. Apparently his collection in September is like his last chance, and it's a shame. These designers have so much pressure on them, and if you aren't delivering, especially with the sudden like slow down with spending in luxury fashion, when a new designer gets hired at a house and you're not performing, it unfortunately goes onto their shoulders. So there's a lot of pressures in being a house designer right now. I definitely wouldn't want any of these people's jobs, no matter how much money you get paid. I am not jealous of anybody's position, but I definitely see Sabato de Sarno maybe getting the boot at Gucci. And I think in September, I've heard that in September it is his last chance. So I'm really excited about all the changes happening in fashion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Let me know what you guys thought of this video. Who do you think should go at Chanel? Who do you think should go at Dior? What do you think of John Galliano being kind of groomed to go back to Dior? I think it's very exciting times in fashion right now. Personally, I am looking forward to who is going to take Givenchy. I personally love Givenchy as a house. I think it's very, very cool. It's right up my alley and my aesthetic. So I'm very excited to see what is happening in fashion right now. And who knows, by the time of this upload, we might have already gotten some news. Thank you so much for watching this week's video, you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was kind of a cool creative idea that I had in my mind. So hopefully you guys were interested in this idea. Let me know what you guys think. And as always, stay tuned for future uploads later this week and in the following weeks. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.